large stranger standing in the locker room doorway. The wife-beater the man wore showed off sleeves of tribal flame tattoos. One hand was stuffed into his jeans pocket, the other held a thick file. His stance was casual, but the look in his brown eyes was intent. Neil didn't recognize him, which meant he wasn't local. Millport boasted fewer than 900 residents. This was a place where everyone knew everyone's business. That ingrained nosiness made things uncomfortable for Neil and all his secrets, but he'd hoped to use that small-town mentality as a shield. Gossip about an outsider should have reached him before this stranger did. Millport had failed him. "I don't know you," Neil said. "He's from a university," Hernandez said. "He came to see you play tonight." "Bullshit," Neil said. "No one recruits from Millport. No one knows where it is." "There's this thing called a map," the stranger said. "You might have heard of it." Hernandez sent Neil a warning look and got to his feet. "He's here because I sent him your file. He put out a note saying he was short on his striker line, and I figured it was worth a shot. I didn't tell you because I didn't know if anything would come of it, and I didn't want to get your hopes up." Neil stared. "You did what?" "I tried contacting your parents when he asked for a face-to-face tonight, but they haven't returned my messages. You said they'd try to make it." "They did," Neil said. "They couldn't." "I can't wait for them," the stranger said, coming down to stand beside Hernandez. "It's stupid late in the season for me to be here, I know, but I had some technical difficulties with my last recruit. Coach Hernandez said you still haven't chosen a school for fall. Works out perfectly, doesn't it? I need a striker sub, and you need a team. All you have to do is sign the dotted line and you're mine for 5 years. It took Neil 2 tries to find his voice. "You can't be serious." "Very serious, and very out of time," the man said. He tossed his file onto the bleacher where Neil had been sitting. Neil's name was scrawled across the front in black marker. Neil thought about flipping the folder open, but what was the point? The man this coach had researched so carefully wasn't real and wouldn't exist much longer. In 5 weeks, Neil would graduate, and in 6, he'd be someone else, somewhere very far away from here. It didn't matter how much he liked being Neil Josten. He'd stayed here too long as it was. Neil should be used to this by now. He'd spent the last 8 years on the run, spinning lie after lie to leave a twisted trail behind him. 22 names stood between him and the truth, and he knew what would happen if anyone finally connected the dots. Signing with the college team meant more than standing still. It meant he'd be stepping into a spotlight. Prison couldn't stop his father for long, and Neil wouldn't survive a rematch with him. The math was simple, but that didn't make this any easier. That contract was a one-way ticket to a future, something Neil could never have, and he wanted it so badly he ached. For a blinding moment, he hated himself for ever trying out for Millport's team. He'd known better than to step on a court. His mother told him he'd never play again. She'd warned him to obsess from a distance, and he'd disobeyed her. But what else was he supposed to do? He'd run aground in Millport after her death because he didn't know how to go on without her. This was the only thing he had left that was real. Now that he'd had a taste of it again, he didn't know how to walk away from it. "Please go away," he said. "It's a bit sudden, but I really do need an answer tonight. The committee's been hounding me since Janie got locked up." Neil's stomach hit his shoes at that name. He snapped his gaze from the folder to the coach's face. "Foxes," he said. "Palmetto State University." The man, who Neil now knew had to be Coach David Wymack, looked surprised at how quickly he put it together. "I guess you saw the news." "Technical difficulties," he'd said. It was a nice way of saying his last recruit, Janie Smalls, tried to kill herself. Her best friend found her bleeding out in a bathtub and got her to a hospital just in time. Last Neil heard, the girl was on suicide watch in a psychiatric ward. Typical of a fox, the anchorman had said in crass aside, and he wasn't exaggerating. The Palmetto State University Foxes were a team of talented rejects and junkies because Wymack only recruited athletes from broken homes. His decision to turn the Foxhole court into a halfway house of sorts was nice in theory, but it meant his players were fractured isolationists who couldn't get along enough to get through a